Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully the music's a decent volume tonight. Oh yes, Starship ASMR. The best kind of ASMR. So, on Sunday, I asked everyone what you would like me to be working on the stream, and fairly unanimously, you all said CDEC. So I have been working on CDEC over the past couple of days. And what you've got here is practically every single segment already mapped out and ready to go. And I'm finding this way quicker doing it all at once like this. So like on here, if we take this one segment for example, then you've got the 1 inch thick wall plate, which can literally just be pulled up like that. And here we have a wall, the correct wall, correct size, correct place. And the same for the flooring piece. All the gaps are where they need them to be. So by doing it like this, it means I can map out the entire deck and have every piece of flooring already ready to go. So the final job really is just to extrude all the wall sections and add detail. So this is essentially what CDEC is going to consist of. Very roughly, I'm going to have some kind of an astrometrics in the front here, which is probably going to be 2 decks tall. 2 science labs here, 2 here, 1 or 2 at the back, undecided. And then each one of these spaces here will be a science lab, along with its associated storage. At the front here, you've got the 4 airlocks, and this will have the airlock hardware itself, along with like suit racks and that sort of thing. And then to the aft, you'll have the drone facility, or the probe room. And then we've got our staircases either side. So looking aft forwards, that's what CDEC is going to consist of. So this is a lot of the older framework, and I think, yeah, so these bits here are slightly off, so they just need to be fudged sideways a little bit just to line them up properly. But the rest of it should all be in line nicely, like here. So that's already like nailed it dimension wise. That one looks all right as well. The main hangar will span both D and E decks, and these entrances here, that's going to be a stairwell, that's going down to the back of the hangar, so you'll be able to access it from the back of C deck as well. So in engine then, okay, so these ones here are going to have to be slightly different to the ones here, because these ones have the additional bulkhead down the middle, whereas these ones won't, because this is an open area. So they need to be exported separately. Other than that, I think they're practically identical. So I shall get on and export those momentarily. And yeah, and from there it's just doing the sheet metal detailing, carrying all this stuff way through the rest of C deck. At some point I'm going to have to slightly change the width of these tiles, but they'll do as they are for now. Just add that additional wall in here. So knowing that each wall is 40 centimeters side to side, I know that I need to go 20, then 1 inch, and that needs to join up with there. So these smaller labs are likely going to be things like quantum physics. They're labs that aren't going to need a lot of physical space for machinery, and like a geology lab's going to need lots of shelves for storing rocks and things. Whereas a quantum physics lab's probably just going to have a few experimental items and some books. Did I make that a component? Yes, I did. That's better. Yeah, actual physical books. But no, there will be tablets and things as well. So I'm just thinking about where the cut lines are going to be here. So generally speaking, when I'm building the framework blocks, cut lines are down the center of all the corridors, so this would form one block, which means I don't need a cut line down the middle there. So that's fine, which means that doesn't need it. The thing with this room at the front here, so the engineering control room and the astrometrics room are going to be very similar in layout, in that they're going to have a big hollow display in the center, the same as the one on the bridge, and then some other stuff. Now I'm not quite sure what else to put in this room, because if we assume that that's the extent of the hollow display, then still a lot of room to other sides to kind of do something with. I have to have a think on what sorts of things we can include in that room. Okay, so one of the other things I wanted to do, yeah, some controls for it would be good, like a pedestal. The holo display tech is supposed to still be quite new and power hungry in the game, so it's holograms generally aren't something that are commonplace outside of the big projectors. Although, as we proceed and move forward in time within the game, we'll start to miniaturize that tech a little bit more. Yeah, we could also store some server racks and things in there as well. So as much as we've got the actual data center, the astrometry lab can have its own storage, which could be good. So what I'm doing here, I'm just building up just the floor plan for the stairwell itself and the rooms behind it. So we'll have a bathroom on one side and then sort of a maintenance room on the other, so cleaning products and things can be stored on this side. Yeah, I imagine the linguistics lab is probably going to have a lot in terms of storage of like pots and examples of writing. Yeah, and we do need sort of a xenoarchaeology lab as well. We can probably do a spa, but I'm avoiding a pool of any kind because if you've seen Passengers, that can turn up terrifying. Large bodies of water and zero gravity don't go together very well. Yeah, it'd be nice to have each lab is going to have lots and lots of shelving units. So when you're done doing science on whatever artifact you've managed to pull up from a planet's surface, then your choices are either recycle that object for its raw materials or just pop it on a shelf and keep it for posterity. or indeed take it to your crew quarters and store it there. So if you have a really cool alien vase, then you can keep it forever. And once you've got it, you've got it. Is that an Indiana Jones quote? Yeah, every player's galaxy is personal to them, although everyone is exploring the same galaxy, so the same seeds work out for everybody. Something we are planning is to have a self-hosted SQL database, or SQL, depending on how you pronounce it. And with that, you'll be able to form a consistent galaxy with other players. So in that sense, what you do affects them. So if you ruin your reputation with a particular alien species, then that will affect the other players as well, if they choose to be using that same database. No, currently the game just uses Unreal Engine, so there's no actual database driving anything. And there won't be. So whilst we'll have player-generated content, and we'll be managing that content from our website, the game will download a local copy of that content. So it'll just update that local copy whenever there's a new version number. So you'll still be able to play it offline. Thanks, Mr. Sid and Jim, that's appreciated. Hi Zaria, not much really, I've only just started. We are currently working on C deck. No, there will not be transporter rooms. We don't have transporters or teleportation in this game. Essentially, we're basing everything on real-world science as much as we can, and any kind of theoretical science surrounding something like a transporter basically falls short. As far as science is concerned, it's so far out there as to be impossible. The energy requirements and logistics of something like Star Trek style teleportation just makes it not feasible. The shuttle bay will have a whole bunch of different ships, from shuttles to utility craft, like mining vehicles and things. So there'll be a few of them. The FTL drive is an Alcubierre drive, so that's based on Miguel Alcubierre's work, and also the update by Dr. Eric Lentz. So it's not Star Trek, Star Warp, it's kind of the realistic actual math version of Warp. We're using or we will be using the Gaia dataset for terrestrial, stellar objects rather. And we're probably going with a 10,000 light year sphere for real world data. Now, as and when new real world data crops up, if it's within that 10,000 light year sphere, then yes, we'll update that within the game. So this is forming the back wall. Of course, it's mirroring it. Don't need those guides anymore. I'm going to use the edge of this to cut a hole in the geometry below. So I'll just take this edge here. Actually on this side as well. That, get rid of it. Get rid of this. Hang on a minute. Yeah, the music's by Lofi Geek. And yeah, it is. It's actually genuinely quite good. Why is that not joining up? Do it? No. There we go. SketchUp does this thing sometimes where it just joins all the faces together, which is quite annoying. That's half what I wanted. Yeah, the expansions are going to be sort of typical indie prices. We're not talking AAA prices here. Yeah, I think it's the job of indie studios to remind the big boys what game dev used to be about. You know, we all grew up gaming and loving gaming, and you know, the industry has become so commercialized over the years. I think a lot of studios have forgotten what it means to be developers. Come on, SketchUp, you can do it. It's not that hard. Right, there. What the hell? Sometimes SketchUp just wants to make your day difficult. The only reason that face would be disappearing is that, yeah, look, it's moved the vertex. What on earth? So which bit's wrong? Is that bit wrong, or is this bit wrong? That bit's all right. Yeah, sorry to hear that, Daniel. That's not good. Right, SketchUp, this is getting silly. For some reason, all of those vertices are not on a plane with the rest of the mesh, so just going to get rid of them, do it again. Don't know why they weren't on a plane, but for reasons known only to them, they were not. Hi Fallback, today we are working on C-Deck. And I was just cutting out the main stairwell, but SketchUp's decided to have a bit of a fit, so just having to redo a bit of geometry. Right, that's better. So all of that is now on a plane, exactly where it should be. Stick these in place while I'm at it. So that's essentially the dividing wall, where we'll have the bathrooms and storage. And I may as well go ahead and draw in that while I'm here. Yep, the bathrooms will be fully usable and indeed necessary. Yeah, so behind the main stairwell there will be bathrooms on every deck. So last time I did this cut, I think the reason it went a bit wrong is because the vertices on this particular mesh were slightly offset from the floor. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to have it go halfway through and do an intersect instead. just use those faces. That gives us our hole. Did it? Oh, look, it did that again. SketchUp's on one today. Should be able to do a repair on this without it deleting too much geometry. Just put that wall back in. Right, there we go, that's better. Some there which can go away. That literally just delete every single face it did, didn't it? What the hell? You will not be beaten by SketchUp and its tantrums. Okay, so decided to delete that as well. Right, once and for all, do we have clean geometry? Yes, we do. Right, good. That was way more difficult than it needed to be. Now I just need to recreate the wall. Hi Federshay, we are currently looking at the main stairwell on a template that I'm making for C deck. And this template will be copied vertically down throughout the core of the ship, at least the middle bit of it will. And when I do D and E decks, I will be using this same methodology because it's way quicker for building the ship. Geometry is still behaving. Right, so we've got our back wall for the main stairwell, including each individual panel, mapped out nicely. I'll put in the markings for the floor panels. And we just need to we need to cut a bit out there. I'll just borrow these edges. Did not mess up. It's always a good thing. And that's going to be the join for the wall. Which means all of this on this side, that's going to be the cavity where the planter lives. The coloration here essentially is like the salmon colour is the centre of the corridor. The browny bit is the side pieces of the flooring, and all these grey parts, those are cavities. So you can see across a deck, there's very little in the way of cavity. It's the space is being fully used. Thank you, Gordon. So from here then, so we've got bathroom one side, maintenance room on the other. This is where all the Roomba like charging points will be in here. Right then. So I am going to start deleting things here, I think. So it's like that wall, that wall, needed. That can go. The old panels before we had a bit of a rejig. Okay, so this piece here, that should be a mirror of this one, so that's a component, that one's a component. So we should be able to take a copy of that. Move it away by 0.1. This is what will form the insulation material now. So we need to bring that in by about 7. same color? Oh no, I was using gold. Okay. And it should have added that to all of the instances of that group. These ones, which are rotated the wrong way around, typically. It's fine, they will just need mirroring. So this one is a component, so how come that one didn't update? Ah, because it's a different component. Okay. Just going to check the distances, make sure it's all adhering to the right scale. Yeah, so that one's fine. That one's fine. It's fine. Same this way. Right, so this component is essentially our ground truth. So that one needs to be copied over to this one. My drive to make everything as modular as possible. Essentially, this piece of framework should be the same everywhere we use it. Which means like here and here as well. These are clearly not using the right one, so I'll take a copy of this one. That one needs to go away. Take that one round a bit. Lined up right. Distances look good. All those extra bits of geometry are. inside there. Doesn't look like they're needed for anything, so they can get deleted. Go ahead and remove those from the group. Depending on the room, the layout will be slightly different on that side. It's always going to be the same on that side. Yeah, that works. So thanks to my handy dandy floor template, all I need to do now is just paste them in there, extrude both of these up to 60, and then boom, we have walls. Make them to a component. That is job done. This one is probably the same. So quick and simple to do. I'll just make another one as well. The outside view, sure. Well, not finished, but you mean this? So that's the rear of the ship, that would be the front. And what you're looking at there, if we turn on the new bits, so we've got new layout in DDEC, EDEC. So that's basically the shape that it's going to be. So if you kind of picture that in your head, then that's what we still have to add to this. So that has to come out around there yet. Yeah, it's going to be a little on the large side. But at the moment, it's 300 meters long and about 150 wide. Give or take. It's about the same size as the Enterprise Refit or Voyager. Okay, so Voyager was 343, but only 116 wide, so it's a little bit stumpier than Voyager and a little bit wider. So I think all in all, you're probably looking at pretty much Voyager in scale. Compared to the demo, it's a little bit narrower and quite a lot longer. The saucer on the demo came out to around about here, so we've kind of lost that much on each side, but obviously it's stretched out a lot. Yeah, the cargo holds at the back underneath. Yeah, the cargo holds are going to be, so that's the shuttle bay at the back with like person for scale. No, these aren't what the shuttles are going to look like. I was just using them as scale markers. If we take the dude and put him down here. So if we assume that that's roughly the size of a shuttle, give or take, then that's kind of how big you're looking at for the shuttle bay. It's going to be quite huge. And then the cargo holds will be sort of slung underneath there. I should pull off the ultimate troll and actually add that as the shuttle in the game. I think the closest thing would probably be Stargate Universe's shuttles. I mean, they're, you know, proper shuttles. Oh, actually, I don't need to make that one, do I? Because I've already got one right there. This is where making it modular really helps. So all I need to do is copy that across. Yeah, again, scale-wise, I think you're looking probably sort of Stargate Universe, again, size-wise. They'll look like the Dream Chaser. you look up the Dream Chaser from Sierra Labs, it looks a bit like that. So Sierra Space, rather. Find a picture of it. There. So that's Dream Chaser. So the shuttles will look somewhat similar to that. Yeah, the shuttles will have heat shields and little stumpy wings. Yeah, for obvious reasons, we're trying to steer clear of anything Trek related as much as possible. Yeah, I can't think of any similarities between what we're doing and Eve. They're very different games. I haven't played Eve Online for, wow, 10 years maybe? Yeah, licensed content is definitely my plan. The idea being there is that we'll approach various licensees, IP holders, and ask them for permission to include their ship in the game as a DLC. So, say Star Trek, for example, if we wanted to include something like Voyager, then we would request permission specifically for that ship and that ship only as a standalone DLC. So it would have no story content, no lore to worry about, no canon to break. It would literally be, here's a ship, full interior, fully simulated, and you can explore the galaxy with it. And that would, kind of be the extent of how far we went with it. And we want to approach lots of different IPs and get lots of different ships in the game from all over the place. Like, I'd love to build Red Dwarf. I think that would be really cool. Yeah, the Stargate ships would be good ones, human versions of the Stargate ships, because they're already kind of very much in line with what we're making. Yeah, if we were ever to get licensing for a Star Trek ship, and we were to model it as accurately as we could, right down to accurate warp scales, then exploring the galaxy with it is going to be a painful experience. Because Star Trek warp is slow. Whoops, forgot to set myself to do not disturb. Apologies for the Discord ping. That was me, not you. Yeah, that's funny enough. One of the most common comments we get on stream is like, "You're doing this in SketchUp? Are you insane?" Yeah, pretty much. When I first started building the Enterprise refit about 7 years ago now, I did all of my work then in SketchUp, and it's just what I've got used to. I am going to look at parameterized modeling at some point when I have the time to actually research it properly and learn how to do it. But this will do for now. Does the job. Yeah, the way I look at it is that more than anything else, what I'm doing is Archviz work, and what better tool to use than a tool that was designed for architecture. That's interesting. I always thought SketchUp was essentially an architecture tool. You might be interested to know that all of the spiral staircases were made by me on the Orville. I also made most of the windows in like the conference room and some of the crew quarters. Most of the corridor work was done by me, although with the season 3 sort of refit of the Orville, a lot of the work I did was replaced with the shiny panels rather than the Chillwich ones that used to be there, the fabric ones. So one of the things I can do quickly on this is corridors like this, because these panels are all the same size, the same scale. It's easy enough just to copy paste them. They can all be components, so you edit one and you edit them all. These ones, however, this is a Bezier curve. So every single one of these ones are different. And that's going to be a pain. To try and limit that pain as much as possible, I've done CDEC in such a way where you've got a mirror point down there and also down through there. So like this one here, if I go into it and try and edit it, you can see that that's duplicated in a few places, and the same will be true, for the one next to it and so on. But from here all the way through there, all of those are completely unique in the world and cannot be copy pasted, which is a pain, but we can live with it. Yeah, the blocks themselves refers to like this. So this is one slice here. So obviously once I got that all in as well, that's one block of the ship. Yeah, so like this one here, even though this is made up of individual pieces, this is exported as one solid object, and it's imported into Unreal as one solid object as well. So if we look down at the old version of it, as far as Unreal's concerned, this is one solid mesh. It doesn't care that they're all separate pieces. So when I import the mesh, I make sure it merges them. These ones here, these ones are much nicer because these can all be copy pasted. So I'll just make this one 260 and 260. Get a component. So sort out the axes while I'm here. It always makes life a lot easier if the orientation of the axes match the orientation of the mesh. So you can see that the bounding box fits exactly. And when we do things like extrude a hole in the front, then we can copy that in a straight line. And we know it's not doing anything weird. Just create ourselves a nice flat rectangle. Get rid of geometry there. Now we can make our cutting tool for cutting out the lightening hole. So we're going to reverse the faces. Some nice curved edges, and then we're just going to chop that through there. There we go. There is our lightning hole. And then just to finish it off, we add a nice bit of rounding on the corners. It gives us that lovely lighting highlight in engine. That is a much nicer edge. So now that I've made this as a component, all I need to do is just copy this one, so from there, there, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, so I go times 6, and there's my corridor wall, done and dusted. Nice and simple. And then when I go and add, I'll do that now in fact, so if we make this, we just need to pull that out a little bit, like 0.1. And we need to reduce that by 0.7. Copy that, delete the bit we didn't need. Paste it back in, make it into a group, make it gold. Back in there, and there we have our insulation layer. are missing though is the dividers. So let me borrow that one. There. Line it up with that one. Same again, we'll just copy it from there to there. How many did I want? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one. Times by 7. There we go. Honestly, having these pre-made templates makes the whole thing so much easier. When I move down to D-Deck, I'll do the entirety of D-Deck like this, so it's already mapped out. And I should be able to knock out all the rooms really quickly like that. Are these all? These ones weren't components, so I'll just redo them. $260. Okay, same process again. Grab ourselves a face. Oops, no, don't do it that way. We want to do it. Hang on a minute, did that not take? It was autosave messing that up then. Try this again. It's important that the extrude is perpendicular to the curve, otherwise you get a funny shaped cut. Again, we'll just square it off to make it flat. Take our flat bit, get rid of the bit we don't want. Get rid of that geometry. Then faces, those faces, give it some edges, pull it on through and intersect. There's our hole. Did my mic pick up? Is that you coughing again? Okay, Dustin, thanks for joining the stream. Have a good one. Pull that out a bit before I cut it. So there's our wall panel. Oh, right, yeah, these are the awkward ones. So annoyingly, I can't copy paste these ones because each one is ever so slightly different in its curve. Going to quickly extrude all of these. I'll go back and add holes. Probably off stream because that's not particularly entertaining to watch. Wait a minute. Should have been a group. What's going on in the funny shaped spaces left between these curves? They're not exactly neat wedges like with the rings. Not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean these bits in the middle? Because if so, that's going to be a science lab. Ah, right, yeah. So yeah, each one of these oddly shaped rooms is going to be a science lab. Might very well divide it diagonally across there. Essentially, half of the room's going to be storage, and the other half's going to be all the science equipment itself. So these two here, these need to be unique. It's unlike the other ones, these ones don't need to have a bulkhead. Chuck that over there. Get rid of them. So let's copy 250, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one needs to join up with that one. Yeah, some of these spaces are proving to be quite interesting. Like here. So I'm trying to sort of to map out realistically sized and spaced out floor panels. How's best to describe it? Like in a corridor, it's easy. It's got panel, panel, panel. When you've got an intersection like this, it's like where do you draw the intersection line? Like it's obvious from there. All of this can't be one big piece, so it needs to be a cut somewhere. So I think the most obvious place is just to take the curve of the corridor and use that as the cut, which is what I've done there. So in game, you'll see a division down there, probably some bolt holes too. There's lots of interesting spaces like that. And I'm quite fond of this bit as well. I think this is the only place, at least so far on the ship, that we've got an actual curve. So there'll be a curved bit around there. It doesn't have to be a curve. There is actually room here for it not to be, but I think it would look nicer having it as a curve. I'll probably do something similar here as well. Actually, these guys can go, they're not needed. So the original back wall was kind of there. And we had quite a large gap before we had the hole for the coil. But in order to fit the stairs in, I've had to push that out slightly. Essentially, it's one panel extra now to what it was before. And that gives us a... So this was my attempt at making the stairs smaller, which isn't needed now. That was the original size of the stairs, which was huge. And this is my compromise. Which is, it's still a substantially large stairwell. But at least it's one that fits, and you can get around it properly on both sides. I'm looking forward to building this section actually. I think it's going to be quite a nice part of the ship, with the staircase and the ceiling lights and some seating either side. I think it's going to look quite nice. Yeah, every single one of these panels will have actual panels on it. Why are you offset? Bunch of weirdness going on there. So if we take all of that, including the end bits. I'm actually hoping that Morphologist gets his hands on the project at some point, because I'd be fascinated to know his take on just the design in general. I did send him a key, but he never got back to me. I imagine he's probably waiting to see an actual finished design before he gets involved. I'm a big fan of his Architect Reviews series on YouTube. So yeah, if you want to see an architect reviewing starships, I'd highly recommend it. Yeah, it would be nice to get sort of one of the Star Trek veterans on stream, and just hearing their thoughts on it, because when you're designing sets for sci-fi, you have certain budget restraints and size restraints. The soundstage might not incorporate everything you want to be able to build, so it would be nice to hear their take on being able to build something as big as you want, as complicated as you want, and just let your design whims take you where they will. Fredichet, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd be stoked if Morphologist reviewed the ship. Obviously, I'd like him to review it when it's finished. When all the rooms are in and it's polished and all the carpet's nice and laid, and maybe not in its half-finished state, because you're not really getting the full picture. Thank you, Mr. Brian. And we've actually got some people on our Discord that work or have worked on genuine nuclear submarines, working on the actual nuclear reactors. And that's been quite enlightening. And it's nice to know that at least one of them said that playing the game felt familiar. And for me, that's a huge compliment. I'm just winging it, you know. I'm researching on YouTube, and I'm reading science papers, and you know, I'm trying to do the best I can. But to hear someone who actually did it as their day job on a submarine say that there's some familiarity there, like it made sense, that's just like, oh, brilliant. That means I must be doing something right. But I'm going to try just exporting one of these pieces. Can't remember what I called the original. So what is this? This is ring 2. I just called it the forward walls. Yeah, it must be. Yeah, I think the problem we'd have with using a Trek set designer is that it would look like Star Trek. And it's something that I've faced challenge-wise. It's, you know, I started my modeling career building Star Trek ships. So, you know, when it came to building my own vessel with my own design, it ended up looking like a Star Trek ship because that's what I'm used to. Like, you know, when I think starships, my mind kind of naturally kind of veers towards the Trek side of things in terms of looks. So it's actually been quite a challenge to think of a design that doesn't take any cues from Star Trek. And I think, you know, involving someone who has a lot of Trek heritage, that's going to show in their work. And that's something that we're, you know, trying to avoid, again, for obvious reasons. Yeah, I think the Orville did a great job at capturing that kind of the spirit of TNG, both in terms of the show and in the aesthetic, without stepping on any toes or crossing any red lines. I mean, I have no idea what kind of behind the scenes conversations they had, and whether or not they had to come up with any agreements, or whether, you know, whether there was things they had to avoid, maybe. But they've certainly did a good job with it. Hopefully we can do just as good a job. And that's interesting. Yeah, that whole sort of white paneling aesthetic. I mean, the walls that we have at the moment, I actually watched a lot of videos on like Boeing airplanes and how they made the interiors. So the whole idea of the framework, then the insulation layers, and then the pipes and the wires, and then finally some plastic paneling. That's kind of how they make airplanes, so I've kind of gone with that. architecturally, I'm a huge fan of Zaha Hadid and that kind of style. You see a lot of it in the Passengers movie and the 890 jump in Star Citizen, and I think there's no coincidence there. I think they kind of share some inspiration. In fact, if you look at the 890 jump after watching Passengers, you'll see that some of the rooms there are almost identical. So those ones and those ones should be the same mesh, so we can actually copy those like that. Okay. And then those ones are the unique ones, and that was the wing ones. So framework, C, deck, wings, those ones. Okay. Yeah, I've not actually had the pleasure of walking around an 890 jump myself. I've only ever seen them on YouTube, other people doing tours of them. At some point, I'd love to have a poke around myself. Oh, that's good to know, thanks. I'll have to check it out. Now, I'm actually a backer on Star Citizen. I backed it about 5 years ago. Probably even longer. I have no doubt that when it's finished, it's going to be an incredible experience. Far beyond anything I could make. That's fine, because what Star Citizen are doing and what we're doing are largely completely different things. So I think the two games complement one another. I certainly hope it will be finished before Star Citizen, because I don't think Star Citizen's going to be finished, in inverted commas, for a good many years yet. Okay, Gord, good to have you. Have a good one. Yeah, I mean, that's the big difference, really. Again, with Elite or Star Citizen or No Man's Sky, those games focus very much on the personal narrative. You as a player and your exploits within the game, acquiring wealth and getting better ships and all that sort of thing. Whereas Starship Simulator is more about exploration, seeing what's out there, working together as a team. It's much more of a co-op experience. Joining me live, you're welcome. It's not something I've ever been comfortable doing, sort of being a streamer and kind of doing that sort of thing. It's definitely an acquired skill. It's not something I'm naturally competent at, but hopefully I'm getting there. It's nice to just share what I'm up to, really. Sort out this room here. What's happening with that one? Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I was discussing this with Claire, and she was saying that on one hand it's great that people can see how much effort goes into making what it is we're making here, and how long things do genuinely take sometimes. But at the same time, you can watch a stream and think, is that all you've done in 2 hours? Is that like literally it? It's going to take forever at this speed. But yeah, some things do take forever. But it's worth pointing out that I get a lot more done when I'm not streaming. It's definitely a stream deficit. When I'm not streaming, I can just, stick some music on and disappear into my own little world. Thank you, Dave, for the £5. It's another little bit towards the shed fund. Eric, I am literally doing it from the top of my head, yes. It's not as straightforward as that, because, a lot of this is me spitballing, so I'll build something, realize it doesn't work, delete it and build it again. So I'm not getting things right first time. So it's an iterative process. Like the idea of segmenting out all the corridors first in 2D before actually building any 3D geometry. That's something I've only literally started doing this week. And I've discovered that that is a tremendously quicker way of building out a deck. So, that's just an example of I learned something this week. I learned a better way of doing it. And I'm always learning better ways of doing things, or things that I've done wrong. Like this corridor. You can see that by doing all the segments first and making sure that they're all identical, I can do all the mapping out and the angles and the measurements a lot more specifically. And as you can see, my previous effort, although fine, was ever so slightly off. And I'm just going around fixing things like that. On that note, and again, the beauty of these is because I mapped it out beforehand, I don't actually need to do any geometry building, because all I'm doing is extruding a shape. I've already made the wall in 2D, I'm just making it 3D. This is another great thing about streaming the progress the way I do, because you guys get to see the journey and be a part of it. Get to see me screw up, and then get to see me fix my screw ups. It's all part of the fun. We're currently working on C deck. Thank you, Mr. Boyan, much appreciated. I have a particular craving for Fox's chocolate covered biscuits, so I may have to indulge. I eat too many biscuits, that's why I'm fat. Yeah, Jaffa cakes are good. They're definitely up there. But those Fox's chocolate biscuits, I actually, quite shamefully, bought myself a selection box about a week or so ago, just for me. I literally bought myself a selection box. I mean, how bad is that? Granted, it took me 3 days to eat them, but still. Explorer, yeah, it's a difficult one because a lot of the time these meshes need to be separate because they actually have a purpose in the game world. So things like the floor panels and things, each floor panel has to be a separate object because it's a separate actor in the game world and it has its own health value and dirt value and all that sort of thing. So they have to be separate objects. I mean, in some ways I am modelling the corridor all at once, because all of this is, really just one solid object. And now that I've done this one piece, I can now copy paste that. It's just there's lots of pieces. That one's the same as that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Times it by 6. So it doesn't take long to knock out a wall like that. This guy needs it as well. It's slightly the wrong place, typically. Thank you, Runrist. Is that Runrist? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. For the 100 SEK. I'm afraid I don't know what currency that is. Is that Swedish krona at a guess? Either way, I appreciate it, thank you. Actually, now I think about it, is krona even the Swedish currency? Nice to know I'm not a complete idiot. I do remember some things. Yay, I got something right. I would say yes, ODST. Except I spent 4 hours assembling a bed yesterday. My son's got a new bed for his room, and it said on the box it takes 120 minutes to assemble. Like, my ass does it. Like 4 hours later, we're only like 3/3 of the way done, 2/3 of the way done. It was mental. The ladder alone had over 72 tiny little screws. I think that old piece is not conforming to the right curve, so armed as we now are with a template, it's a doddle to make another one. In fact, it's probably quicker to remake this corner than it would be to try and fix the other one. Done. Yeah, there's a lot of repetition on the ship, like these little brackety things here, for example. Like if I go into that group and highlight it, you can see that that is highlighted all over the ship. Literally every single one of them. So any changes I make to this one is immediately duplicated to all the others as well. So there's a lot of efficiencies. Yeah, SketchUp hates it when you turn the light. If I turn that on, like, look at that frame rate. Yeah. So I don't turn that on. That's a good question, actually. Is there a count? Yeah, 6,682. That's a lot of brackets. And that's not even all of them either. That's kind of mental. Now that's definitely across all decks, but not all of the framework has them yet. So when the full ship's complete, that's going to be easily over 10,000, if not more. All the bolts are components as well, so when it's all put together we'll be able to do a count on the bolts, which will be kind of fun. Stars, thank you, yes. Yeah, I think the game just oozes potential, and it's, you know, my job really to make sure that it lives up to it. No pressure, like, just, you know, gotta keep plodding on. That's a good idea, yeah. I'd love it if someone 3D printed the ship, and I don't mean 3D printed an exterior model, I mean 3D printed every deck of the ship using the actual framework. And, you know, to that end, I will be releasing the SketchUp file when the ship's finished, so people can indeed do that if they want to. I think that would be very, very cool. Yeah, maybe not quite one-to-one. Although give me some land and enough money and I'll build one on the ground. Something I was joking with Claire in a serious, not serious kind of way is something we could do one day is we could buy a hotel and we could convert the interior of the hotel using the interior ship aesthetic so it looks like you're on the ship on the inside, and then have screens instead of windows showing space. I think that would be a really cool experience. That's true, yeah. And it's a perfect arch, so it's a nice secure structure. There is such a thing as a Star Trek cruise, and that's kind of cool. Although I don't think they do any particular theming for it, but I love the idea of having like an old ocean liner that's out of service and refitting it to look like the Magellan internally. I think that would be really, really cool. These ones are messed up. Yeah, salt water is bad. I was watching a video, or a few videos, the other day on canal boats in the UK and people living on them. It's actually quite appealing. Although you really do have to learn to live with an extremely limited space, which doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Yeah, it looks like a nice lifestyle, yeah, especially if you had something like a continuous cruiser license, so that you could just cruise the waterways. My problem with it is most of the waterways are either in the Midlands or up north, and I'm very much a southwestern country boy, so I think I'd miss this part of the country. If we had canals around here, it would be a different story though. I don't think the Taunton and Bridgewater Canal really counts. Yeah, it's not good. Actually, something similar happened in one of the videos I was watching. The guy was just going through a lock as per normal, but as the water was dropping, the front of the canal boat was like stuck on the lock gate. So as the water was pouring out, like the back was going down and the front of it was just stuck. That could have been nasty, but luckily whatever was holding it on at the front snapped off and it could have dropped back down. That's something I get bored with really quickly as well, going through lock gates. Probably fun the first few times, but after a while I imagine that gets very, very dull. It's true, they should be. I think you've got button operated locks in London. Not that I've seen any. Thank you, Jim. Have a good one. good for an export on this one now. Which one are we doing? It's you, isn't it? So you are just CDEC frameworks. So ring 1, framework, CDEC. Jim, happy birthday for tomorrow. Does that mean you'll be Jim 34 tomorrow? Hi, Oni Noni. We're working on CDEC. Yeah, they were done. To a point anyway. They just needed detailing. As you can see, they're a lot more together now. So what I did is, unlike my previous method where I would just kind of make things as I was going, I decided to template out the whole thing, every planned segment in detail, including all the walls and the wall cavities and the flooring and the width of the flooring pieces. But I'd go ahead and do the whole deck all at once in this style, because at that point afterwards all I'm doing is I'm literally just extruding these shapes upward to form the walls, and on the whole this is so much quicker doing it this way. So when it comes to going down to D-Deck, I think we're going to see D-Deck come together reasonably rapidly. I'm still not sure about this bit here, right at the front of C-Deck. These are the four airlocks. Yeah, D-Deck can just copy paste the middle bit easily. But it's a case of, do I want the door exactly in the middle? In which case these segments don't line up. Or am I happy with the door being offset slightly? In which case it's fine. We'll see how it looks when I actually model it. and this is new as well. So this is wider than it was before to fit in the staircase and to have room going around it. So I still need to do the insulation on these 4, because these are just unique. Those ones are done. Those ones are done. I'm undecided as to whether or not I'm going to do the same on the corner pieces. I might try it and see, but it's going to result in some weird shapes. But we'll see. Yeah, that needs re-exporting. As does this one. So I'll go ahead and do this one next. Yes, Mr. Boyne, it actually did. When you're building it in segments like this, kind of inside, from the middle to the outside, you know, I had a rough idea and a rough plan, and like here, for example, I've done the same thing. So if I grab a copy of that a minute, let's grab both sides. So I have already done the same thing here, where I've taken a high level overview of the deck. So I've used this to sort of plan out where the rooms are going to go and how everything's going to fit together. But like there's no usefulness from this template. Yes, it tells me approximately where I'm going to put things. But when you compare that to something like this, where you literally have every single piece of wall detailed, this makes actually building it really, really simple. So I'm going to be doing the same with this. So first of all, I'll do the entirety of D-Deck just like this, and then from there start building it out physically. That should make the whole thing a hell of a lot quicker. Martin, yeah, they could be. Yeah, so something like this could have an architectural feature, like an ornate pillar or something like that. Yeah, we definitely could. Or like a lighting fixture. Yeah, the Kickstarter flood seems to have ebbed, and you know, we're back to a nice casual crowd, which is nice. Yep, true that. I'm still reeling from that 5-hour Q&A I did that time. That was absolute madness. Just answering questions for 5 hours straight. Funny you should mention that, Nonny, because I thought that myself. However, if we look on a deck, you can see here. So you've got this curved section here, and the tessellation just completely handles it. I wasn't expecting it to, but it just did. which is nice. So, you know, hats off to Epic. They've done a brilliant job with it. Just works. Hey Steve, working hard, I see. Oh, you mean a sharp corner like that? Yeah, I think I'll round that off to stop that from happening. Yeah, the corners definitely will have things like downpipes in them, but to be honest, so will the straight bits. It will depend on where it's coming from. Dimply Marrow, there are going to be many ships. The next one I build is going to be a lot smaller than this one. But yeah, we'll have probably a large cruiser like this one for each of the expansions, for each of the stories. And then in between expansions, we'll release, you know, half a dozen smaller ships. Yeah, the 3D printers will be dotted around the place in different workshops and creation spaces. So there'll be 3D, well, there'll probably be a 3D printing suite somewhere on D or E decks just for crew usage. And then engineering will have its own sort of engineering 3D printers printing out more parts. It's funny how many people have been like unexpectedly startled by Steve. Yeah, sorry, not sorry. It wasn't meant to be a jump scare, but he definitely turned out to be one. Zarya, yeah, exactly that. So the mining in the game is specifically to keep the 3D printers stocked with raw materials. Every new component or part you print will have a material cost associated with it, and it'll likely be atomic recipes. So if you think about, you know, what fundamental periodic sort of elements are in an object, that will be the recipe for 3D printing it. I think the system requirements as they stand right now are probably close to what it'll be when it's finally finished. Things like nanite have a baseline cost, and then from that point, additional geometry and detail doesn't really cost anything extra, but the cost of nanite itself is the cost. And we'll have the same with Lumen when we eventually implement that. Clover. I think perhaps going into the maintenance tunnels, hearing a noise behind you, turning around, and there's a xenomorph slathering away, just staring at you. I think that would be quite a jump scare. Or opening a cupboard and a face hugger comes flying out at you. Yeah, it'd be nice to do an Aliens DLC. I'm not sure which ship I'd pick. I mean, the Sulaco, probably. Yeah, the problem with the Nostromo is it's bloody huge. Need the upright supports, I've already got them. Oh, that's true, yeah. Yeah, see, Red Dwarf is an interesting challenge because, you know, it's got like 70 decks or something stupid like that. Can't remember now. But, yeah, there's no way you can build that without doing it procedurally. And having the tech to procedurally flesh out the ship as you're walking around it, I think that would be, yeah, a lot of fun. See, Galaxy Quest is an interesting one because I don't think we'd even struggle to get licensing for that. It's so old that yeah, I think they wouldn't even question it if we asked for licensing. So that could be an interesting one. And it's kind of like in keeping with the show as well. You know, here we are building a recreation just like the Thermians did. They were called Thermians, weren't they? Yeah, we were talking about the Orville in Discord earlier, and obviously I've already worked on the Orville, and I wouldn't want to pull the rug out from under the guys that are working so hard on it and continue to work on it as we speak. So, you know, if at any point in the future we looked at doing the Orville properly as a DLC, then I would probably give that team the first bite of the apple and say, right, you know, do you want to come and work on it as part of this project, fully licensed? I think it would only be fair. Yeah, I would love to build the Destiny from Stargate Universe. It's my favourite ship. I mean, I've always said that the Enterprise refit was my favourite ship, but that's my favourite Star Trek ship. If we're talking my favourite ship of all time, I think it has to be the Destiny. For no other reason, it's just a beautiful design. I really, really love it. I don't actually know who designed Destiny, but they did an amazing job with it. Lex, there's a weird one. The ship from Event Horizon would be cool too. I just want to make the spiky drive. Yeah, Andromeda is an interesting one as well. And I completely forgot until recently that that's another Gene Roddenberry project. Completely forgot that Gene Roddenberry wrote Andromeda. Yeah, Planet Express ship would be good. I think once we've got our sort of piracy and trading expansion done, I think Planet Express ship would go well with that. I'd totally love to do the button moon rocket for a laugh. That would be such a weird phone call as well, because I'd have to phone up, I guess it's either like BBC or ITV, whoever owns the licensing to Button Moon, and say, you know, I'm making a very serious Starship Simulator with a properly simulated galaxy using real science and astrophysics, and I'd like to include the Button Moon rocket, please. And they'd be like, what? All good, thanks, Spearmint Magpie. Yeah, so we can do expanse style gravity once we've replaced the character component in the game. Once we have variable gravity and variable gravity direction, then we can do all sorts of stuff like that, including spinning ships for gravity. Yeah, Starbug would be good as a shuttle DLC. I mean, I don't think there's any, or at least I've not seen like a deck plan for Starbug, because it's kind of huge depending on which episode you watch. By the ship from Explorers, do you mean that thing made out of dustbins and cardboard boxes? Because that would be quite cool. God, I love that film. I haven't seen it for ages. I think the problem with the TARDIS specifically is that it doesn't really fly about the place much in a traditional sense. It disappears from one place and reappears somewhere else. Yeah, now Serenity is one I'd love to do, definitely. I think this is a big enough space for some bathrooms. Should get quite a few in here. Yeah, it's easy to make something bigger on the inside. Just stick a portal on the door. Job done. Galactic Survivor. Every crew quarters will have its own bathroom. Okay, I think that's all the framework done for these. I'm missing this one next. Which would be you. Yeah, definitely not college dorm. Yeah, you're right actually, Nolly, well done. That saved me a job. Yeah, definitely. As long as I haven't done any different segments, then yeah, copy paste is the way. Right, it's coming up to 10 past 11 here, so I'm just going to export this one, check it out in Engine, and I shall be calling it a night. This one's not going to have a middle wall split. This one's going to have a hollow display in the middle. So this one's slightly different to the others. This is essentially astrometrics. Astrometrics, hard word to say. Yes, I would say so, to be honest. I mean, I did aim to get C-Deck done for Friday, and I think we're definitely on track. It's the new system makes it tremendously quicker. It's a huge difference. That's nicer now. I haven't got all those weird bits sticking out the top. So obviously, as per this, we need doors. So the next thing I'll be doing is cutting out door holes and window holes in the places that need them. To be honest, yeah, there could be insulation on this bit in the middle. It can't hurt, stick it in there. Where the windows are, the insulation will go around the frame. Obviously I'll just replace that panel with one with a window in it. You mean this bit? If so, it's just because I haven't done it yet. Any oh, there. Yeah. That's an oversight. It will have insulation. Yeah, it'll definitely have it. Again, if it's a door frame or a window frame, then the insulation will just go around the window or door. Although, to be honest, with the doors, I don't think there's going to be enough room. Okay, so yeah, so C-Deck's starting to look good now. That wall needs re-exporting, although I haven't built it yet, so that can wait. Need to add that and cut windows. Oh yes, there's going to be a lot of detail yet. A lot of detail. Like every single one of these floor panels is going to have bolts on it, so that's going to be several tens of thousands of bolts at the very least. probably, I think, is the answer to that. Now, let's have a look here. It's easier to see. So obviously the white space is rooms. It's going to be 2 labs here and 2 labs here. And I did actually write down a list of which labs need big or small rooms. So there's going to be 4 small science labs. And the small ones are probably things like linguistics, quantum physics, that sort of thing. Things that doesn't need a lot of hardware. The front room there, that's going to be the astrometry lab. So there's going to be a big hollow display for looking at the galaxy. And then you've got these 8 large labs around the outside. So all 8 of these will be labs. We just need to decide exactly which labs are going to go here. Definitely geology, definitely oceanography, and archaeology, and a bunch of others. And then we've got the 4 airlocks at the front, and the probe facility at the back, with the airlock there for the launching platform for the probes. And then we've got the main stairwell here, we've got side stairwells here, and the aft stairwell here, which takes you down to the shuttle bay. And that is pretty much SeaDeck in a nutshell. Oh, and of course you've got the data center in the middle there. Yeah, Claire's lab's going to be the one with all the fish in it. Yeah, material science is an interesting one, and that's probably a useful one for upgrades. But yeah, we will we'll have a good think about which labs we want to include. So in total it's 12 science labs plus astrometrics. We don't have a ship's cat yet, but I can assure you, when the plugin I was looking at goes on sale next, we will have a ship's cat, guaranteed. Claire can no longer say no. Oh yeah, the bathroom. I forgot to point out the bathroom. Bathroom's there. And it will be in the same place on every deck behind the main stairwell. Yeah, for simplicity's sake, all the bathrooms on the ship will be unisex, and they'll all have cubicles, so there won't be any urinals or anything. It's just going to be cubicles. Anyway, showers are in the crew quarters. I shall call it there for tonight. Been on stream for about 3 hours and 20 minutes, so quite a long one tonight actually. That's what happens when I'm focused on doing stuff. I will once again be streaming on Sunday at the usual time of 8 PM in the UK, and the next dev build will be going out on Friday evening at some point, ready for the weekend. So I will carry on plugging away at SeaDeck and getting that as polished as possible, and then you can see that on Friday's build, which should be awesome. So thanks again everyone for watching the stream, and I will catch you later.